Hi, it's Denise from Balance Me Coaching, and in this episode, I'm going to go into overextending yourself as it can lead to burnout. Now, one of the biggest issues I see women doing is overextending themselves. I love working in stress. I like my projects. I like my deadlines, the hustle and bustle of it all. I like busy, and that's fine if you do it in strides and don't live there all the time. I used to be an event organizer for a medical profession. And a few days before the event, things got a little more than crazy. You go to bed, and even when you're in bed, you're thinking about, oh no, I forgot to do this, I forgot to that. Everybody was always stressed right before the event. And you know what? It was so bad at one time that one of my keynote speakers had a heart attack on stage, which was horrible. But you know what? He had the heart attack on stage in front of nurses, doctors, perfect place, rather than in his room the night before. So what happened was that there was about 600 people in the crowd, and I don't know who organized this part. It was part of the facility. They had all the chairs in a row. So basically I had to get everybody to stand up and move the rows of chairs so that the paramedics could get in. And thankfully we all got that done. He was okay. And little Miss Perfect, who I am, I had his luggage brought back up to his room. I had his wife on the next flight into our city. And guess what? The next speaker came on time. And the people I worked with are going, oh my God, Denise, it was just who I was. I mean, I used to work myself to the bone, loving it, but I ended up in burnout. And the one thing I learned in doing this type of work, because it was very, very stressful, I would end up with pneumonia almost every conference I did, and I didn't know why. I was so silly. I'm burning the candle at 3 different ends, and I don't know why I'm getting sick. But you know what? I went to the doctors. There was not really a lot of holistic practitioners in those days, but I got my blood test done, and I got tests done, and absolutely nothing was wrong with me. But I felt so exhausted and so fatigued all the time, I just couldn't understand it. And then once I looked into, I'm in burnout, then things started to come together for me. And that's why I'm doing this work today. So it is a passion of mine to help women to avoid feeling like this. We really need to take better care of ourselves before our bodies put us in shutdown. And if you've ever been in burnout, or if you are living in burnout right now, you know exactly what I mean. You're frustrated, you're fatigued, you can't get out of bed, you're drained, you feel like a robot, you're a zombie. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. So the biggest lesson I learned was don't overextend yourself. I know, it's easier said than done, because managing your time and energy is just so important. Okay, so Denise, how do I do this? So when working with my clients, the first thing I do is work with them on getting clear on what's important to them. What makes them happy, what creates joy in their lives. I help them declutter their lives. How do you declutter your life? Well, get clear on what's important to you. Your values, your purpose, what brings you joy. And I covered that in a previous podcast and video. And take a look and take an inventory of what you committed yourself to. Remove the things that are not in alignment with you. And doing this, it usually forces you, in a sense, to create some boundaries. And boundaries are limits that you put into place to protect yourself, protect your time, and protect your energy. So once you remove the things that don't align with you, you look at things that you can delegate or group together. I, for instance, like to group things together. For instance, in the morning, I have my morning ritual. I do certain things for myself. I set my intentions. I make my to-do list. And I do a couple different things just to get my day going. Another example is if I have social media work to do, I will bunch that all into a time and do it all at once, rather than just doing a little bit here, a little bit there, because then your focus is all scrambled. Now, some of my clients like to schedule their day completely, hour for hour, minute by minute. I myself would find that stressful. Now, if you're that type of person, schedule time in for yourself, your you time. I myself create blocks of time where I commit to certain tasks. For instance, when I do my podcast, I put a few hours in the day for research, And then I stop. And then I put a few hours another day to do a draft. And then I stop. And then another day, I do a couple hours where I do record it. And then I stop. And to be honest with you, sometimes I edit afterwards, or sometimes I edit it the next day. But you get the picture where I'm doing things in blocks and then stopping so that I'm not overwhelming myself. I don't sit and do until I fall off my chair, because I really enjoy doing these videos and I enjoy doing my podcast. And if I were to do it all in one day, I wouldn't find it fun anymore. It would not give me joy. So I like spreading it apart, doing it in chunks, and making it fun for myself. I always give myself a break and my mind a rest. And the thing is, a lot of times when I do step away from doing my podcast or my drafts, I actually come up with other ideas to add to it, which is very productive. I see a lot of women in burnout that do not have time to take care of themselves. They're overextending themselves. They're overwhelmed. They fear that they don't work 24/7, that they will be failing. Reality is, if you don't take care of yourself, you become unproductive as you start becoming fatigued. This is your body telling you it needs a rest. And a lot of us ignore it. So you're working on a project, you're getting tired, but you really, really need it done. So you keep working at it, and you start seeing double, and you start getting tired, and your shoulders and your body hurts, and everything's starting to ache. Well, you know what usually happens is you start making mistakes, and then you got to play catch up because now you're fixing mistakes. So realizing that fine line where you start being unproductive, give yourself a break, go back to it another time, and you will find yourself even more productive. So take a break. Why are we being so hard on ourselves? We are. So avoiding burnout is creating an awareness. Becoming balanced is doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, sort of mishing it up a little bit. And as I mentioned, I love the hustle and bustle. I love being busy. But I've also become aware that when I need a break, I need it, and I take it. So when I'm working on a project, I figure out a breaking point. I take a break. Sometimes I do something simple, like make myself a nice lunch. I love doing that because I do work at home. Or I go for a walk. You know what? Sometimes I even do a household chore. So sometimes my break is just doing the dishes. But it's getting away from what I was concentrating on and just switching it up. So some people think, oh, self-care is just going to a spa, which can be, but it can also just mean taking a break, going and reading something, calling a friend, doing some yoga, doing some meditation, listening to a song, getting up, dancing, just changing it up. And that is the big thing. If you're doing something physical, maybe switching it up is, sitting quietly and reading. If you're sitting at a desk, your shoulders start to ache, switch it up. Do some stretches, do a walk, do some household chores. Variety is the spice of life. So I find this, especially with women, we tend to put others first. You know what? You cannot pour from an empty cup. So we as women, mothers, wives, sisters, we tend to put a lot on our shoulder. And what happens when we get sick? The superwoman is not allowed to get sick. Well, sorry, but it happens. And especially if we don't take care of ourselves, it will happen. When we start taking care of ourselves, we become more relaxed, more aligned, more productive, happier, and we can contribute more. I remember a woman in my life who's always wanting to do these big family dinners, and she would do everything. I would offer to bring just a salad or some biscuits or a side dish. No, she needed to do it all the time, just do it, everything. It was crazy. I would even say, can I bring a certain dish? So she didn't even have to think of what I could bring. And you know what? I dreaded going there because she would be so stressed out, frazzled, crazy. It was like one of those, I would even say after the dinner, is there anything in the future that, I couldn't even help her clean up. It was so bad. She needed to be in control. Why do we do this to ourselves? And looking back, I was no better. Once I had this housewarming party, I was working full time. My partner was working full time. I did everything myself. I went grocery shopping. I did the cleaning of the house. I made all the food, and plus I had a new puppy. So if anybody's had a new puppy, this was a brand new puppy. It was crazy. And I lived in the country. So for me to go and even get the groceries, that was a half-day job. In between, I was checking emails, making phone calls, and dealing with clients. I was so stressed out by the time my friends showed up, I swore to myself, I will never do this again. So I learned this from my mom. She used to have huge parties, sort of almost like an Oktoberfest sort of thing. And she did all the work. She did all the food, all the prep, all the groceries by herself. And you know what? Yes, people would bring hostess gifts, but she did the rest. Huge undertaking. But you know what? She seemed to have it all under control, and she made it look easy. But then again, she was full-time homemaker, and she was at home, and somehow she scheduled it so that she got it all done in a timely fashion where it wasn't stressing her out. She loved doing it, and you know what? She did it well. Side note, Denise was recruited to do the cleaning. So that was something I grew up with, and that was something I was taught. You know, meals were my mom's work, and even on the weekends or at the cottage. I remember once I cooked breakfast one morning, and you know what she said to me? Instead of a thank you, she said to me, I made her feel uncomfortable. You know, that was her job, and that was sort of her thing. And I'm really thinking, why wouldn't you take that time and just sit out on the deck, or go for a walk, or spend time with my dad, or whatever? But I made her feel unneeded and unwanted, which was horrible. And why wouldn't she take that time and do something for herself? That's just the way we were programmed. So now if someone says, can I bring something? I say, yes, please. Can I help you with this? I say, yes, please. I love it when people contribute to, whether it's a project, a meal, because you get new ideas, new recipes, new tastes. And I really don't know why in the past I had to be in control. But you know what? I've changed that. Not anymore. So now on a side note, yes, when people are bringing food to a gathering, I do figure out what they're bringing, because I had one party once and everybody brought potato salad. So I learned the hard way. But what I'm getting at is loosening those reins, letting it go. You don't have to do everything for everyone. Overextending yourself is one of the main causes of burnout. So think of the times where you couldn't let things go. You know, where you didn't feel like you could ask for help. And you felt like a failure if you needed or asked for help. I was once a volunteer at a Winterfest when I lived up north, and I was given the task to do the broom ball part of it. And I myself never played broom ball before. But the woman that was heading this committee basically said, okay, you're in charge of this, and that's it. And I'm like, what? What's broom ball? But I was extremely lucky because the woman that previously did the broom ball had a to-do list, a list of contacts, and it was amazing because I didn't even know that I needed to book the field, the equipment, how to get the referees, how to get the teams signed up, how to organize who plays who, what to do with the outcomes, the winners, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? She gave me an organized to-do list. The woman that was organizing the whole Winterfest basically asked me once in a while, Denise, how's it going? Fine. She goes, my door is open. If you have any questions or problems, please come to me. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, because she just gave me control over a whole big section of the Winterfest. And you know what? I ran with it, and I enjoyed it because I didn't have someone meddling in what I was doing. She delegated. She stood by her delegation, and it made me feel great. I loved it. And you know what? I did it for about 3 years and enjoyed it. I had so much fun doing that. Think of the things in your life where you can get help, where you can get support. Another side of the coin is how much fun would it be to do something with someone else and not have all that burden on you alone. Really think of why we are programmed to do. why we need that control. Now, in my past, I was never shown how to relax. Growing up, it wasn't like, can you go relax for a bit? Why don't you go relax before dinner? No, it'd be like, you come and help me with this. And the only time someone told me to relax is when I was freaking out, and that never went over well. And all the sayings that went along with that. Growing up, the devil finds work for idle hands. But why are we living in a society where we have to be busy all the time? We do. That's why we need to create that awareness, and that's why we need to create that time for ourselves, because if we don't, we end up going into burnout. Now, at the end of your life, do you get a medal for doing everything yourself all the time? No. Why are we control freaks over our lives? Sometimes we believe no one will do it like us. Why does everything have to be perfect? Why not open ourselves up to new ideas and doing it different ways? Doing things to perfection also causes a lot of stress. Like, I do have pride in the work I do, but I had it ingrained to me that everything had to be perfect. You can find a balance here. I'm not saying, do some slosh-ass freaking job, but something that, it also doesn't have to be perfect. You need to find that balance, what you're happy with. We put pressure on ourselves to get everything done for everybody perfectly, and we overextend ourselves and create burnout and stress in our lives. I look at how many women that are living in burnout, and I'm sad to say there's a lot of us living in burnout. So it was interesting when I was researching this topic, and I went onto Google to see, the correlation between overextending yourself and burnout. And you know what? I found nothing. I found one article, and basically it said, set boundaries, don't overextend yourself. So out of all of Google, all it said was, set boundaries, don't overextend yourself. I liked what the sentence after that said. Learn how to say no to requests on your time. If you find this difficult, remind yourself that saying no allows you to say yes to the commitments that you want to make. The other article that had overextending in the title, that's it, in the title, burning out can lead to blowouts, how to prevent overextending yourself. And in the article, it didn't even talk about how we tend to overextend ourselves. So if you're overextending yourselves, regardless where, it could be in work, it could be, in a hobby that you have, a club, your life, your family, and you're stretching yourself thin. Why? You need to take a step back and take a look at why. I'm happy you took the time to listen to this, because my goal is to bring awareness to burnout. So I'm just going to wrap things up now. So just a couple suggestions to create a more balanced lifestyle. So choose to prioritize yourself. Declutter your life and take pieces of time for yourself. The women I work with, once they start removing things that don't align with them, they start feeling lighter. And you know what? They start feeling excited again, because then they have time for the things that they enjoy to do, or the things that create joy in their lives. I'm asking you now to take a look at some of the commitments. Which ones stress you out? Which ones don't align with what's important to you? Which ones create joy? Which ones create happiness? When you take that time to yourself, try not to think of the things that you should be doing. So this is guilt-free time. For instance, if you're taking an ice bath, please don't sit in the tub and go, crap, I forgot to do this, or crap, I forgot to do that. We've all done it. As soon as you're in the shower, it's like, oh no, did I do this or did I do that? But try to become a little bit mindful about that. What you can do is take the time to acknowledge yourself and your accomplishments. So think about when you're in that tub and having a nice me time, think of all the nice things that you've done this week and all the accomplishments and all the things that you're grateful for. It makes a complete difference in your mindset. Now, going ahead with this, and to help yourself to not overextend yourself, think of places where you could use some support. Where you could delegate some of your tasks and where you could create time for yourself to rejuvenate. Create yourself a happier, more productive, and a joyful you. So thank you for listening. This is Denise from Balance Me Coaching, helping women worldwide create a more balanced lifestyle. Talk to you in the next episode.